The PlayStation Store is running its games under $20 sale, and I want to take a look at some games under the price of $10. These games range from upwards of $5 to $9.99. I might end up doing an under $5 sale, probably won't since a lot of those are redundant. There's Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition, that's the one that really stood out to me the most. I've talked about that quite a while. If you don't have it, go buy it. But without further ado, let's just get right into this video. Dishonored Definitive Edition is $5.99. Dishonored is a fantastic game. I bought it for $60 when it came out back in 2012, I want to say, and I loved it back then. It's a game you can play in a variety of different ways. You can play it stealthy, you can play it, action, run and gun. That's how I did my first playthrough. I just, blitzed my way through it. But then, going back through it in a stealthy manner, I think is the most enjoyable way to play the game, personally speaking, and I played it both ways. $6 for it is really good. The Definitive Edition obviously looks better, has some additional content, and overall a great game. If you end up enjoying this, go check out Dishonored 2 when it's on sale as well, because that one is a really good game as well. Next up, we have Tales of Zestiria, which is down to $9. Tales of Zestiria is a game that, it's probably not the best Tales of game. I think the majority of people would agree with me on that. The issue with Tales of Zestiria, and let me say that it's not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination, because all of the Tales of games fundamentally are usually created pretty well. What sets them apart from one another is from a story and a character standpoint, although with Tales of Arise, the next Tales of title, they are completely changing the formula of the game, and it looks a lot different, but that's for the future. Tales of Zestiria followed a similar style, however, it really was a bit baffling with some story decisions, and I wasn't a big fan of the main character. However, if I still had to assess it as a JRPG, even if it's one of the lesser Tales of titles, that still makes it a pretty darn good JRPG. Again, I wouldn't start off with Tales of Zestiria as your first Tales of title. I would try to go with Tales of Berseria or Tales of Vesperia, but if you played those two and you want a decent JRPG, I do think Zestiria still has a lot of elements to enjoy. There are some characters that I liked, and the gameplay is still that Tales of gameplay that a lot of you guys know, and you probably really dig it, with some minor nuances and minor changes. But yes, some of the characters got on my nerves, and then some of the story decisions were really, really questionable. But for $9, I still think it's a pretty decent little title, and I would give it a recommendation. Next up, we have South Park: The Stick of Truth, which I've talked about a few times on this channel. This is a game that I remember going into its release. I think that it was back in 2013, and I was like, yo, South Park is a turn-based RPG? This is nothing but a cash grab. At that point, I didn't realize that the game was being developed by Obsidian, and it was a fantastic RPG. You're talking about somebody that going into playing this game, I wasn't a South Park fan. I really didn't get the hype. Not necessarily I didn't get the hype, I never actually just sat down and watched the show, but then I played this game. It was hilarious to me, and coming from somebody that's not a fan of South Park, if you're a fan of South Park, you're probably really gonna enjoy it. Since playing this game, I have watched a few episodes here and there, but I never got super invested or anything like that, but I still was able to really, really enjoy this game, and I picked it up back when it came out for $60. I don't even know why, but yeah, I ended up really enjoying this game, and for $9.89 on the PlayStation 4, I think this is a good pickup. Go check it out, and I think you guys are really gonna dig it. Again, even if you're not a South Park fan, if you want a funny game and a good, it's a good RPG. Mechanically, it is a well-made game. And sub $10, I think it's a pretty good pickup. Next up, we have Dragon Ball Fighterz, 85% off for $9. Now, this is the base game. Ideally, you want to get, the Ultimate Edition, so you get the additional characters. But that is going to be a heftier price to pay. For the base version, $9 I think is pretty good. Dragon Ball Fighterz is a really, really well-made fighting game, and it's one that, yes, it has that Dragon Ball Code of Pain, and I think a lot of people got into it on that basis, and I am a Dragon Ball fan, not as big as I am, say, a Naruto, but I like Dragon Ball, and yeah, I got into it because it was a Dragon Ball fighting game, but then you actually assess it from a mechanical standpoint. Really well-made game. I'm never gonna be that guy anymore that gets super into fighting games from a competitive standpoint. I like to casually play them with friends. My days of trying to get good in fighting games kind of had been laid to rest back when BlazBlue Calamity Trigger I got out of that game. But yeah, I still can enjoy fighting games, but I mainly just play them casually, and Dragon Ball Fighterz just playing with friends. It was a really, really great time. And the visuals in this game, holy hell, and the presentation, all of those elements are really well done, and I would give it a shout at just $9. Speaking of Dragon Age Inquisition Game of the Year Edition is $9.99. Now, you can play this game with EA Pass, or whatever they call it, EA Play. I completely forgot the name of it, but the subscription service EA has, it's 99 cents right now. You can sign up for a month, and this is one of the many games you can play, but yeah, it is a lengthy game. You might need a little bit more than a month to complete all the content. $9.99 for it, I think, is quite good. BioWare obviously did this, and many would consider this to be BioWare's last truly great game. Some people didn't even like it that much. I really dug Dragon Age Inquisition. I thought the visuals were great. Story was pretty good, not my favorite in the Dragon Age franchise. I'd probably go Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age Inquisition, and then Dragon Age 2, but still, for $9.99, Game of the Year Edition with the additional content, I think it's a very much worth your money. And as far as content per dollar value amount goes, this is probably the best game on this list from that standpoint, so check it out. Scribblenauts Mega Pack is down to $9.99. Scribblenauts is one franchise that, you know, I played it quite a bit when these games were out. I haven't jumped back into either of these titles in recent memory. However, Scribblenauts comes with two titles. You get Scribblenauts Unlimited and Scribblenauts Unmasked, a DC Comics adventure. These games are very charming. If you want to play with a younger sibling, if you want to play with your kid, whatever the case may be, or even if you're an older, an older player, you can enjoy these games. They're well-made titles. Colorful art styles, and of course the DC layer to it in the DC Comics adventure is pretty cool as well. $9.99 for two games I think is pretty solid, so check that out. Next up, we have Resident Evil Revelations. That is 60% off for $7.99. When you talk about Resident Evil in 2021, outside of Village, people will talk about the RE2 remake, people will talk about RE7, maybe RE3 here and there. Resident Evil Revelations has been lost in the shuffle a little bit because it originally came out on the 3DS. I played it back then, dug it quite a bit, and then they made it on PC, played it there, and I have it on PlayStation 4 as well. It's a good game. I think you're gonna enjoy it, especially when you're not paying like $50 or $60 for it. At just $8, it's pretty good, and this isn't an episodic game. I know RE Revelations 2 was like an episodic experience. This is a standalone title. You do have to bear in mind that originally it was a 3DS game, so visuals aren't really out of this world crazy, but it's still pretty good, and definitely, I don't think from a graphical standpoint you'll be turned off by it so much that you can't play the game. For $8, I think this is a solid pickup. Next up, we have Batman Arkham Knight Premium Edition for $9.99, so this includes Arkham Knight and some DLC content as well. Arkham Knight, to many people, was the worst of the three Rocksteady Batman Arkham titles. I would probably agree with that, actually, but I wouldn't say it's a bad game. It's much like BioShock, where people were, like, down on BioShock 2 and saying that's the worst BioShock game, but it's still, like, yo, your competition's pretty insane. Arkham Asylum and Arkham City I thought were tremendous games. Arkham Knight, a very, very good game. The general criticism seems to be from the Batmobile sections, and honestly, I didn't think those were that bad. Some people, like, absolutely hated them, but I still thought the combat was excellent, visuals were stunning, and the story was pretty decent, although some elements were a little bit, you know, much like Tales of Zestiria, a little bit questionable to me. But overall, I still thought this was a very good game, and the Premium Edition for $9.99, think it's a great buy. Not completely sold on this Gotham Knights title that I've been looking at, but we'll see, and I hope for the best out of that one. But Arkham Knight, definitely worth a buy at just $9.99. Next up, if you've been following us, you know I'm very high on .hack GU, and last Recode for $9.99 is excellent. Thinking about the days where I had to drop $40 a pop for each of the GU titles, kind of disgusting in retrospect, but this collection with all three titles and a fourth smaller episode I think is a great buy. Obviously, it's a PS2 game and it's not like a complete remake or anything. You're still dealing with stiff animation, some shoddy voiceover work, but overall, I think the gameplay is good. I think the overarching narrative is very good, and I would say that's the most compelling element of the title. A lot of reused environments, which isn't the best thing ever, but you're getting a lot of content for your money, so I'd say for $9.99, this one is pretty good. And lastly, Rise of the Tomb Raider 20-year celebration is $5.99. I've recommended this one quite a bit as well. I think ROTR is the best of the rebooted Tomb Raider titles. Well, the Tomb Raider games since the 2013 reboot. I'd probably go ROTR, SOTR, and then Tomb Raider 2013. Or maybe you can swap Tomb Raider 2013 and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Whatever the case may be, $6 for ROTR is really good. 20-year celebration edition adds some additional content. You got a VR element in there as well, and for $6 for the game you're getting, it's a high-quality title, and I would give it a strong, strong recommendation at just $6. That's 80% off. So that's going to wrap up this one. Again, there's a lot of good titles on sale in the under $20 sale, but I don't think I'm going to end up doing an under $5 sale, unless you guys really want to see that. It's a lot of games that would be a little bit redundant, but let me know in the comment section down below. Other than that, that's going to wrap up this one. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.